Let's talk about why men run back when you ignore them, because that's a little bit strange. About 14 years ago, I was on a vacation with my then girlfriend, and our relationship hadn't been great for a couple of weeks, but that vacation had been paid for, so we went anyway. Really bad idea. We went out to dinner one night, and I tried to grab her hand as we were walking to the restaurant, but she always found an excuse to let go. So things like, "Oh look, is that goose smiling at us, huh?" Yeah, and other very important things like that. Now, I had of course already sensed weeks before that moment that her interest in me had been declining, that our relationship wasn't great anymore, but I always chose to ignore that. Then as we sat down, in the middle of our conversation, she starts a sentence with, "Yeah, and I think we should just be Now, my mind really didn't want to hear the rest of that sentence and immediately went, "You think we should just be fooling around or flying with a helicopter maybe?" But of course I knew what was going to happen. The apocalypse, the end of my life as I knew it. Now this was only the second day of a 10-day vacation. So before she could finish, I said, "Okay, well, I think we should break up, and then after this vacation, I never want to see you again because I don't want to be just friends." Guess what happened during the rest of that vacation? I'm an author. I write books about dating and relationships for women. I also write about other topics like handling our difficult emotions. My real name is Geert. My much easier to pronounce pen name is Brian Knox, and you may already have noticed that when a guy is not sure about you, when he's not sure about commitment or starting a real relationship or even wanting to date or being in love or seeing a future and so on, and you ignore him, you make him less important, he may run back to you, especially if there were some feelings left. But that's strange, right? So let me finish my story first. So I was sad that we were breaking up, that our relationship had ended, but I wasn't needy because I had clearly seen our differences, our incompatibilities in the weeks leading up to that breakup. So a breakup was inevitable and the right thing to do. So this moment now made her about as important as that empty roll of toilet paper I sometimes refer to. Had this breakup happened at home, I would have said, "Okay, check please," and I would have left that restaurant. But there, sadly, I couldn't. We were on a remote island and the only flight home was in 8 days. Planning that vacation had been a series of great decisions. So I was still kind, but I stopped acting like her boyfriend and I was really clear about not wanting to be friends when we got back home. Now this response that she clearly hadn't seen coming made her very attracted to me. She took my hand after dinner on the way back home, this time totally ignoring that goose. Then at home she came on to me, and during the rest of that vacation she acted like my girlfriend in every possible way, while I was standoffish. And at that time, still being in my 20s, I really didn't get it. I thought, women are weird. Women make no sense at all. I had already thought that before, but now it only got worse. Way worse. She wants to break up with me and now she's all over me. That doesn't make any sense now, does it? Yet this was the first time that I saw some psychological powers like scarcity in action in a romantic relationship. The law of scarcity, well explained by Professor Robert Cialdini in his famous book called Influence, that law states that when something is scarce, it becomes more valuable. We want it more, way more. So if you start ignoring a guy, then your attention, your love, your hugs, your kisses, your affection, they all become scarce and thus a lot more valuable. If he can't have it and he still likes it, at least a little bit, he now wants it more. That's why not contacting someone after a breakup, often called no contact, can be so powerful. The shock is bigger then. If he still likes you, he will now miss you more than had you remained fully available. He may even want to get back together or continue the relationship or do other things that make no sense whatsoever. And this also happens when you ignore him for other reasons. And I'm pretty sure that you have already experienced this power while being on the receiving end. Someone you like suddenly ignores you, and your mind makes that person really important. Can't stop thinking about that person, really wants to reconnect. That's a mind game. It's a mistake that our mind can make, with an emphasis on game because this is a game. A while ago, a lovely woman in her 30s contacted me and she said, "Okay, so I am dating a guy and when I feel he pulls away, I just ignore him. But this then always makes him run back to me and he then says, 'I really miss you,' and more kind words. Then our flirty, witty banter starts again like the good old days, and that's great, but then as soon as I lower my guard and give him attention for about a week, he starts to pull away again. Will this keep going on forever? Well, yes. If you remain on that merry-go-round, it sure will, and it will keep going on because this is a mind game. So in this case, he really doesn't like that woman the way he used to for whatever reason. If she then ignores him, the mind game starts. Scarcity, he will miss her, he will feel that void, and he wants her back. But he doesn't really want her back, and that's the thing we all need to remember when someone we date or someone we have a relationship with is steadily losing interest and is starting to pull away. If she is behaving normally, and that means that she's not too needy, she's not suffocating him, she didn't hide or abduct his Xbox, she didn't get too jealous and so on, and he likes her, and he's the right guy for her, then he will not pull away in the first place. They wouldn't be in this situation. So if you are a good and a normal version of yourself, do you know the types of guys that will pull away then? The ones that would make your love life a living hell because they're not compatible with you, because they can't possibly give you what you want in a romantic relationship. So you have to bottom line these things. And I know that this may sound obvious, but if you ever are in this situation, then your mind may say, yeah, but no, this is different. We are meant for each other. I can feel it. Okay, well, let's find out for sure. Stop ignoring him. Give him love, attention, affection, and then see how he acts. He will then reveal his cards. If he pulls away again, he's out for good. If I would have said to my then girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, as she came on to me again, "Whoa, I love you. I'm so glad you still love me too. So want to get back together and forget about this breakup thing?" If I would have done that, I would have snapped her right out of that mind game, which I didn't do because we were on a remote island with more than a week to go. So I wanted to enjoy that vacation at least a little bit without a lot of negative tension between us. But I was no longer interested in continuing a romantic relationship with her because she had shown her cards. We were not compatible. If we were right for each other, none of this would have happened in the first place. We have to bottom line these things. If someone loses interest consistently, if someone breaks up with us, they disqualify themselves. They are not who we thought they were and definitely not as important as we thought they were. The woman that contacted me also said, "So when he pulls away again, I pretend to be busy. I try to find other things to do, but it's really hard to maintain this." And yes, it is. You shouldn't try and pretend. Relationships are always hard, but this part, having the person we love pull away the moment we show them that we are interested, yeah, that's not supposed to be a part of the hard part, of course. So don't be afraid to turn someone off. If it's easy to turn someone off, then you're not meant to be together. Even great romantic relationships will get in very rough waters during their lifetime because life will be difficult at times and sometimes even really difficult. And then the question is, who do you want on your boat during those storms? Is it someone who will grab a life jacket and who will bail out the moment the first spat of rain hits the deck? Or is it someone who will be standing strong right next to you as the waves are hitting the hull of the ship? When I was in my 20s and I was dating a girl that I really liked, and I did something that's typically me being me, so me just being myself, and she would freak out, she would lose interest, she was no longer attracted to me, then I used to think, ooh, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that, ooh, I shouldn't have opened up about my feelings for her, so yeah, that was a mistake. So I always thought that I had to change, but no. Unless me being me means running after her with a chainsaw, which it doesn't, or me saying something like, "Oh, you complete me. I've been dreaming of being with a woman like you ever since I started my romantic scrapbook at age 7, and I wrote so many poems for you. I love you. I think I want to marry you. And I know that this is only our first date and we just sat down, but when it's real, you can feel it, right?" Which still isn't the real me, FYI. I only started that scrapbook at age 12. Still kidding. But seriously, all this does is uncover that we are not compatible. Now, if being yourself means being needy, being angry, being jealous, being someone who overcompensates and so on, then it's a good idea to work on that. But if you are, for example, kind and open and sweet and generally a good person, and your boyfriend keeps saying that you should get tougher because he thinks it's not attractive, then he should go date an alligator with a bad temper, not you. So the moral of the story is that if a guy only chases you when you ignore him, when you play tough, when you play hard to get, when you fake disinterest, when you are not yourself, then that's actually good news. Because now you know without a shadow of a doubt that you can leave him behind and move on. And there you go. I hope you found a lot of value in this video. If you want more stuff, then you can find me on brianknox.com. If you want to read any of my books, then you can find those on Amazon by typing my pen name, Brian Knox, in the search bar. You will then get a full list of all of my books. I will put links in the description underneath this video as well. And thank you for watching until the very end. I love it when you do that. I hope to see you in another video.